Memorial Day is kind of like that first milestone where people kind of, okay, now we have a feel for what these teams are, right? And I remember that weekend, they had just gotten swept in New York by the miserable, pathetic Mets, who are a disaster. A disaster. And they got swept in a 4-game series, and they should have won 3 out of 4. And I mean, everybody was screaming about Davey Martinez. They were screaming about Davey Martinez before that. The bullpen was awful. The starting pitching wasn't getting deep. Nobody could get a 2-out hit. Half the damn team was injured. Everybody was thinking between the Redskins and the Nationals and the Wizards, it's curse, 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 curse. Nobody can get off the damn trainer's table. Nobody can stop having surgeries and all that. Half the team is unavailable half the time, right? And then since then, again, the Nats went from 19-31, and today, and I know it's not July 4th, obviously, but as of yesterday afternoon, still major holiday to major holiday. Memorial Day weekend, I guess is how we'll label it, because technically they lost on Memorial Day, but they had won 3 games before that against, ironically, the Marlins. But that's what started it off, say Memorial Day to 4th of July. They went from 19-31 to 45-41. 4 games over 500. The Phillies lost last night. They are now atop the leaderboard in the National League wild card. Listen, the season's still got a long way to go. Again, it's July 5th, right? By my calendar, I've been watching baseball. I'm 45 years old. I've been watching baseball since I was like 4 or 5 years old. By my calendar, the baseball season does not end on July 5th. So they've done absolutely diddly squat. Nothing. Except climb out of this huge hole. This crater of a hole. 12 games under 500 where I remember thinking, oh my God, what the hell are we going to talk about? Especially once Davey Martinez gets fired. And if you listen to this radio station, if you read any kind of Nats content, if you consumed any part of it, you were like, not if, it was when Davey Martinez got fired. And all along I kept saying it wasn't Davey Martinez's fault. It wasn't Davey Martinez's fault. But he's going to pay the price. He's going to pay the price because that's what happens. That's what happens. And somehow, some way, maybe it was because of his contract, even though it doesn't cost the Lerners a lot of money and they have a ridiculous fortune on their hands, somehow, some way, they maintain patience. And Mike Rizzo, every Wednesday morning on the Junks, 9 a.m., every Wednesday, would tell these guys and you, the Nationals fans, be patient, be patient. We're injured. We'll be back. We'll get it right. We'll straighten it out. We'll fix it. And damned if he wasn't right. Now, again, long way to go. It's July 5th. Baseball season doesn't end until early October, at least the regular season. There's no guarantees that they're even going to be in the wild card picture at that point. There's no guarantees that they're even going to close the gap and win the division at that point. But what they have done to erase this huge hole that they created, some of it, maybe a good portion of it, by injury, what they have done to close this gap of 12 games under 500 on the Friday of Memorial Day weekend to now this Friday and 4th of July weekend to now be 4 games over and obviously a difference of 16 games and 16 more wins than losses is pretty freaking amazing. That's hard to do. It's not impossible. Obviously, they did it. But it's hard to do because there was no indication. Like they kept saying, injuries, injuries, injuries. There was no indication that this was coming. The starting pitching was up and down. Nobody was getting past the 6th inning. Max Scherzer was not Max Scherzer. Strasburg was fine. Corbin was mostly fine through like the end of May. As a matter of fact, he had a 5-0 shutout on the Saturday of Memorial Day weekend against the Marlins, and then he goes on a really bad bender, a 3-game stretch where he was awful. Sanchez was awful. He's now 5-6. He was 0-6 when he went on the injury list in mid-May. Patrick mentioned Corbin, Strasburg, Scherzer. The fifth starter was a nightmare. There's Jeremy Hellickson going out there for about 14 pitches, 3 2/3 innings. I mean, it was just a disaster. They couldn't get a 2-out hit. They couldn't run the bases. Their fielding was atrocious. The bullpen was a nightmare. And here they are, 4 games over 500. Here they are, atop the NL. Here they are, better than the Philadelphia Phillies. Here they are, nipping at the heels of the Braves. Pretty damn cool. Pretty damn good. Win yesterday, 5-2. There was almost, I don't want to say nobody there. They announced a crowd of 27,000. Yesterday sucked, right? I mean, I can't blame you if you stayed away. Like, again, they announced a paid crowd of 27,000. I don't know. It looked about 20,000 people in the ballpark. I mean, it was hotter than hell. The sun, when it was out, it was roasting. It was humid as, you know what? I don't know how anybody went to the fireworks last night. I know it cooled down a little bit, but with the rain and the bugs and the humidity, I don't know how you people stood out in that. I can't do it. I mean, I struggle with it each and every year. And I'm not even one of these guys that thinks Washington, D.C. is like super, super bad for weather. I mean, because I've been to worse places. Go live in South Florida for a year. You'll see how bad that is. Go live in New Orleans. Go live in Atlanta, Georgia. Go live in some of those places. All right, 800-636-1067, 800-636-1067. So the Nationals are back, baby. The Nationals are back. Or are they just kind of picking on some of the weak sisters, if you will, of the National League and, well, this weekend, the American League? The Kansas City Royals are brutal. They come here, so it's an opportunity to end the first half of the baseball season on a big-time high, maybe 6-7 games over 500.